Hey guys, Dav here, back with another unit highlight today, highlighting one of my favorite units on the High Elf roster, courtesy of, I believe this is Jack Norman that sent this replay. We'll see in just a moment, but High Elves versus Greenskins, very interesting matchup, and I love both of these builds here. We've got an Archmage of Metal on an Eagle, which is a wild pick, bunch of Rangers in the front line, some Archers, Silver Helm, sorry, no, the Reavers, obviously. Yeah, subject of this video, Spearmen. We've got some Lions here to support them as well. Reavers Pride plus War Lions, so quite a bit of hard-hitting mobility here. For the Greenskins, we've got, what is it, Stone Trolls up front, as to be expected, Black Orcs, Orc Biggins, just generally Greenskins stuff that's strong in this matchup. Orc Boarboy Biggins, Night Goblins, and we've got Warzag as the caster. And the Greenskin's going to be moving right in. Looks like Arcane Phoenix also. Yeah, good stuff. So, Ellyrian Reavers, 40 charge bonus, relatively cheap. They're one of the most cost-effective units on the High Elf roster if used correctly, and given that High Elves are just one of the least cost-effective factions in general, it's rough here, though. Norm gets a great engagement in the front line, utilizing the War Lion's ability there to get a quick terror route, chase those Stone Trolls off. That's very good. They're tanky units that can be incredibly hard to kill. Meanwhile, the other one plows this unit of, Foot of Gork there, does quite a bit of damage also, stomps out. Reavers Pride actually only lost 2 models there. But yeah, these Rangers getting crumped pretty hard by Stone Trolls. For now, the Reavers just sitting back patiently, waiting to get some breaks. Yeah, countercharge in where they can. For the time being, this melee engagement's going to go, obviously, in the Greenskins' favor, but Norm's got the mobility. He can kind of pull away, try and dictate his engagements. The Lions took quite a bit of damage, which is, they're units that can take damage very, very quickly, but even with all this high armor left on the field, the Plague of Rust here from the Archmage of Metal will allow these Reavers to utilize their charge bonus a little bit better. Here, they kind of get pounded by these Stone Trolls a little bit, but even regardless, you know, just by leadership, they're able to win there and chase those Stone Trolls. And that's a great situation if they can chase them off the field, like over here. Great job with these two. Gets back, gets the Squig Hopper unit, starts to chase them off. Now pressuring in, starting to collapse some of these Wolf Rider Archers. That fast speed, 40 charge. Wa is active, but yeah, some units. These Rangers fighting valiantly, getting sacrificed up on the high ground. I believe the Plague of Rust is still active here. I don't know. I don't think these Reavers have a charge order on them, but they are going to get hung up a little bit here, and maybe it'll be slightly helpful. They might actually rout those Black Orcs, and that quick rear charge penalty can be enough. Yep, indeed it does. In leadership situations where you need a quick break, timely, and that's one of the reasons I love light cavalry in general, is they can very cost-effectively give you that tactical flexibility to be in different places at once, get little hit-and-run charges that do a decent amount of damage. Here, this unit kind of gets devoured by Black Orcs. Isn't quite able to break them, unfortunately, but he did pull out a Here We Go, which is a pretty expensive spell to be using on one kind of tattered unit of Ellyrian Reavers, but battle's still very much close. A lot of Black Orcs left on the field. These Squig Hoppers getting an engagement here. In prolonged combat, the Reavers will absolutely win. I mean, 32 and 36, even beyond the 40 charge bonus, which is really nice. 32 and 36 for light cavalry is very good, especially given the cost. 550 points, again, just really, really cost-effective for these guys. Great job. Arcane Phoenix drops a little Flamestorm thing there. Does some okay damage to the Black Orcs. That Mighty Roar as well. Unfortunately, not quite enough to rout them off here, but there's a lot of Greenskin stuff kind of coming back in various places, right? If we kind of do a nice sweep here, you can see there's Stone Trolls, these 8-peak Loons also, very tactical reserve here, but one thing is Norm's concentrating his forces now. He's got the few tattered Reavers that remain in order to chase routing units off, and that's one of the most important things. With High Elves, like 9 times out of 10, you're going to be outnumbered. As a result, you need to take advantage of situations when you can to try and even out those numbers. Using light cavalry to chase fleeing units off the side of the map is great way of doing that. You can see the Greenskins generally having trouble holding their leadership together. Not sure exactly what happened to the Greenskins Lord. I guess met some terrible fate at the hand of the Sorceress here. Yeah, not sure. But Sorceress is still just kind of chilling here. She's relatively safe, not too many threats for her. She can come in and cycle charge as well as the Arcane Phoenix here. Having those Reavers, again, just in the right place at the right time, pressuring skirmish units away. Like here, they can come in, get a nice rear charge for a quick break. Yeah, chase off those Orc boys, anything really. That's one reason why, like I said, I'm a huge fan of light cavalry, skirmish cavalry especially, that has good melee stats, but even light kind of quote-unquote shock cavalry. And if you look, Ellyrian Reavers, they don't actually say, I do think, yeah, shock cavalry there on the tooltip at the top, right? As the unit class, so using them almost in the same way that you would use Wild Riders, like, you can use them, like here, they were thrown into some rough situations, but again, 71 kills, pretty decent stuff, and just getting key engagements to get leadership breaks, yeah, nice kills kind of spread all the way across the board, to be honest, for Norm's army here. But the one with the most is these Ellyrian Reavers right here, and that primarily came from chasing, routing units. Yeah, for Jackal, pretty decent build. The high armor units are great against the High Elves. I would say you want probably some source of terror, even against the high leadership of Greenskins, but, or I mean, the High Elves, but the Greenskins, their terror units are, by and large, relatively expensive, so it can be tough to make them work. But in regards to Reavers, and a lot of what I'm saying could be applied to Dark Riders, melee Dark Riders as well, that cheap tactical flexibility to get in and get nice little hit and run charge. Like if you compare, they're half the price of Wild Riders, right? And I think two of them used correctly can do a pretty similar amount of work to one unit of Wild Riders, and they're just their charge bonus and weapon damage is less, but if you look, their sustained combat stats are actually on par, and then obviously they get better with the martial prowess. So if you can keep this martial prowess active and really use these guys in mostly hit and run attacks, then they'll retain these stats into the late game and trade very well with a lot of tattered units. You can use them a little bit more aggressively like you did there for disruption and sort of like, I don't know, tying units down, chasing units off. I guess it's not necessarily aggressive per se, but just a general use of light cavalry. Yeah, what else can I really say about Ellyrian Reavers? You'll see quite a few of them, and if you ever feel that your high elf build is a little thin, you could always pad it out with some more Reavers. Yeah, they're just great units in general. I will say, I used to be a big fan of the Reaver Archers. I'm not so much anymore, just because you kind of pay a lot. I mean, their combat stats are very comparable, right? But in particular, the lower charge bonus is a little bit of an issue. And for me, at least, I feel it's not necessarily worth it yet this missile damage output. Like, their DPS is low, especially if you compare to something like Pistoliers for the cost. Now, granted, they do have better range and much better melee stats, but that's really what you're paying for. And with a lot of the high elf ranged units, these guys plus Shadow Warriors, like, against a lot of units, that extra melee stats is not going to matter at all, and you'll still just die. Like, against any kind of, you know, monsters, chariots, elite cavalry, anything like that, like, you're still just going to lose, even though you paid for more for the melee stats. So generally, I prefer cheaper missile units. They're just easier to pay for themselves, right? And you can bring a greater volume, and that often is the best way to go, which is why I'm not the biggest fan of the Reaver Archers. They're very inefficient in that way. Because their DPS is pretty low and they only have 18 ammo, like, they compare very unfavorably to most other skirmish cavalry in that department. Certainly they have a pretty decent hybrid role, but One of the reasons why I didn't include them in discussion about the best skirmish cav in the game is they're just too expensive. They're for their missile damage output. Like, yeah, the melee situationally is okay, but against like maybe more than half the units, if not more, in the game, it doesn't matter at all. So there's that. But the melee ones I am a massive fan of. And yeah, I guess that's basically it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.